Okay. Fine. So good morning, folks. Today we are going to talk more in detail about the very first example. Okay. So here, let me create a document. Fine. So this is the example what we discussed in the last class. A simple hello world, just 4 to 5 lines of code. Is not it? So let's try to understand many more things from this example. Okay. So the first thing would be, is this class name compulsory? Is this class name, does the class name must have public or not? Okay, this is the first one which we want to explore. So let me just copy this code. I'll go here. Paste. Okay. The question number 1. Okay. Do we need to declare class as public? What is your answer, folks? If you have any idea on this. Okay, we'll see that practically. Okay, we'll see that practically. Now copy this, go to your command prompt, cd, paste. I am moving to that location. I move to that location where my examples are there. Okay, so the command to compile this program is java c hello world.java. Okay, java c hello world.java. So it has given me a class file, and let's just say java space hello world. Okay, let's just say java space hello world. I got the hello world output. Now what we'll do is we'll just modify this program. Okay, to this program, let me remove this public. Okay, let me remove this public, and now we'll go back here and we'll recompile. Okay, so the compilation happened successfully. Now again you try to say java hello world. Again I got the same output. Okay, so one thing is clear. The first thing, this public is not compulsory. Okay, so let me say not compulsory. The class can or cannot be public. How many of you are facing the same problem? Okay, can I quickly get yes from everyone who is hearing me? Fine. So one thing is clear, that this public is not compulsory. Okay, and we have saved this file. We have saved this file with what name? Hello world.java. Isn't it? What the file name? Hello world.java. So next the question is, do we need to have file name and class name matching? Are you getting my second question? Are you able to understand my second question? Do I need to have file name and class name? File name means this one, class name means this one. Should this match or not? What is your answer here? Okay, we will see that. Okay, let me go back and I'll just say public here. Okay, I'm renaming it to public, and the file name is hello world, but the class name, let me put hello world 1. Okay, see, the file name is hello world only here. The file name is hello world only, and the class name is hello world 1. Save it, and I'll go to this place. I'll remove the dot class. Okay, Java, see hello world.java. Okay, so we got one error message here. The error message is class hello world is public. Class hello world is defined as public or not? Okay, should be declared in a file named hello world 1.java. Okay, should be declared in a file called hello world 1.java. So this means when your class is declared as public, then your class name and the file name must match. Okay, then your class name and the file name must match. If class is defined as public, then your class name and file name must match. Okay, so here the class is defined as public, and if you write here public, then your class name and the file name must match. Why so? We will discuss that later. Okay, right now it is not the right time to discuss that. If the class is defined as public, then the class name, this one, and file name must match. One minute. Looks like he is having some issue. Good man. Yeah, please mute up your mic. Are you able to hear me now? Can you write yes on GoToMeeting? Okay, yeah, perfect. Okay, so what we were discussing was this concept, right? So now here hello world is the class name, whereas the file name is hello world.java. This will not work. Reason is because you have defined here public. Okay, so what we will do, either you change the file name from hello to hello world. Okay, currently the file name is hello world.java. You make it hello world1.java, or you go ahead and change this class name if you want to compile this program and execute this program. Onto that, I would like to add, if class is not public, then class name and file name need not match. If the class is not declared as public, if you don't declare this as a public, then it's fine. You write here one, you write here hello world, no problem. Okay, so one thing is clear in our mind: if you have defined the class as public, then the class name and the file name must match, correct? Are we all clear on this concept? Yeah. And in this case, how do you compile your program? javac hello world.java, right? You write this name, file name, again java hello world. Okay, but let's say you don't have this public, and now if I have hello world.java, but the class name I have written hello world 1, will it work or not here? Should work, right? Because the class name is different, the file name is different, but I have not written public here. It is not public, so this should work. Okay, so go here, remove this public, say 1, Okay, and now you go back to this place, just say javac hello world. The file name is hello world.java only. Okay, now check it out, what class it has produced. Hello world 1 dot class. Okay, do not confuse, the file name is hello world.java, but internally inside you have a class called hello world 1 dot class. So can I also write here test? Yes, why not? Save it. Delete this. The file name is hello world.java, but internally when you see the code, the class name is test here. Folks, can you just give me 2 minutes? I just need to catch my milk. Okay, I'm back now. Fine. So now here class name is test and the file name is hello world.java. Let's go back. Okay, and let's compile this. So when I say javac hello world.java, this is my file name. I'm trying to compile a file called hello world.java. Internally in this hello world.java there is a class. What is the class name? The class name is test. Okay, so when you compile this, it will generate test.java. Sorry, test.class. Okay, test.class. And now when you want to execute this, you have to say java space test. You need to provide what? The class name, not the file name. Hello world. Okay, so I'll say every time the java code should be compiled, or as it will be compiled, by specifying file name, but will be executed by specifying the class name. Okay, so every time whenever you write hello world.java, okay, to compile this program you will be using javac space hello world.java. This is the file name. But when you want to execute this, the file name is not going to work. It is actually the class name. Okay, even if you have even if you have defined this as public, then the first rule is the class name and the file name must match. Okay, and when you compile it, you compile this with this name, java c space hello world.java. Next, while executing this, you say java space hello world. Are we clear? Okay, next is do we need to define the argument name as args? What is your answer on this? Do we need to define the main method argument name as args only? Yeah, it is not compulsory. Okay, it can be anything, but the standard is args because args means arguments. Okay, the standard is args. So whenever we write a standalone application, still we generally write args only. So that means here I can write my name, no problem. Java C, Java. It has to be a test. Okay. Okay. So this main method can be anything. The argument name can be anything. Not compulsory, but recommended. Okay, what is the use of this? We will discuss that later. Okay, but for the timing, you can just say this is a part of syntax. Okay, we'll come more in detail why do we need to have this string args. Next, do we need to have main method? I'll just say main method public. If you see here, the main method is defined public. Okay, what is your answer on this? Do we need to have main method public? Okay, what will happen if I remove the public? Will not it compile or will not it execute? Okay, let's see that. Okay, do not believe my words unless I show it practically. So just say it's fine, you can define public or you may not. Okay, I'll remove the public from here, save it. We'll say java space java c space hello world.java. Okay, got compiled successfully, no issue at all. Now let me try to execute java space hello world. sorry, test. Okay, so what it is saying, main method not found in class test. Please define the main method as public static void main. Okay, so it is looking for a public method. Let me tell you why. Okay, now understand these two boxes as RAM and hard disk. Okay, understand these two boxes as RAM and hard disk. Now whenever you say Java, see that generally compiles your program, but whenever you say Java, okay, so let's say I'll write it here. Let's say initially you just wrote Java C hello world.java. Next you wrote Java space test. Okay, so out of this two commands, okay, the first one and second one, which one invokes the compiler? Which one invokes the compiler? The first one or second one? Yeah, so the first one, right? So I'll say this invokes the compiler. And which one invokes the JVM? Invokes the JVM for execution. Okay, so when I say it invokes the JVM for execution, the JVM piece of code, whatever needs to be executed, will be brought to the memory or not. So in this piece of memory, let's say there is a slot, this slot, okay, where the JVM is residing for execution. Okay, and you wrote Java C hello world.java. What happened? It produced a class file here, C drive slash, let's say code Java folder. Okay, now here I had hello world.java, and what we did is when we said Java C compile, it produced a hello world.class file. Okay, it produced a hello world.class file, or as per our example test.class. As per our example test.class. Make sense till now? Okay, now when you try to say Java space test, that means you're trying to execute this class, test class. So what will happen? This test class will be loaded into the memory. This test class will be loaded into the RAM. Okay, where exactly it gets loaded? It gets loaded into the JVM memory. Okay, now here in the JVM, let's say this is a piece of area where the JVM code is written, and this test is loaded somewhere here. Okay, we'll talk about this when we discuss JVM architecture and all. Okay, but for the timing, just understand that this is a block which is reserved for JVM, where here you have some sort of JVM code here. Okay, and whatever test class you have written, or compiled, that is present here. Okay, that came here. So I'll just say here test.class. Fine. So if you see these blocks, these two blocks are completely different blocks. Okay, these two blocks are completely different blocks, and when you don't define your main method as public, then what will happen? This JVM, okay, this JVM will not be able to locate this main method because the main method is not defined as public. Okay, and if you define that main method as public, that indicates, okay, that indicates that that main method should be accessible by the JVM. You got my point? So in short, if you want a story in 2 lines, then JVM and test.class, they do not reside on the same memory location. They reside in different areas, and it is mandatory that the JVM should be able to reach out to main method. That is the reason the main method has to be defined as public. All the folks are clear with this concept? Okay, so I'll say yes, we need to have main method defined as public. Otherwise, the program will compile but will fail to execute. Now next, do we need to have main method as static? Yeah, it's the same thing. Okay, do we need to have the main method declared as static? This static, can I remove this? Yes, the main method should be always public, otherwise the JVM will not be able to access it. Okay, it is something like this. Everybody owns house, and and if you write a simple thing, like if you write if you take a simple what do we say, a notice board, and if you put it outside, say public toilet, so what will happen? People will come and access it, right? But if you remove that, then nobody will come and access it. So the same thing here, the main method, if you define as public, then it will be accessible by the JVM, otherwise not. Okay, now the next question is, do we need to have main method as static? Do we need to have this main method defined as static? What will happen otherwise? Will it compile successfully or not? Okay, so I'll say this is the piece of area where the JVM executes the code. Okay, where the JVM executes the code. Now, if you don't define this as static, the main method, okay, then the JVM cannot call the main method directly. What I mean to say is, the whole objective here is JVM should be able to call main method, correct? The JVM should be able to call the main method. Okay, and internally JVM code that calls main method is written in static blocks. Okay, so the objective of our program would be, whenever you write any Java program, okay, compulsory it will have one main method. And the whole objective would be, I want to make sure that the JVM calls the main method. Otherwise, your program will not be executed, correct? Okay, so let's assume that writing the static is not compulsory. Let's assume for the time being. Okay, now if you say that is not compulsory, then in the JVM code, there should be an entry like this: test t equal to new test t dot main method by passing arguments array. Okay, if I assume that static would not have been compulsory, okay, then inside the JVM it has to first create your object. It has to first create the object, and then it would be calling main method. Okay, again, if your class name changes, again the JVM will have to create another class, hello world h equal to new hello world. Again, h dot main by passing 𝐻𝐺S. Okay, so every time when your class name changes, somebody has to modify the code in JVM, or it has to be made generic. Okay, but if your main method is static, then directly the JVM can call it using this way: test dot main. No need to create any object. Okay, so let me give you some sort of similar view. Public class, I'll say JVM test. Public static word main. Okay, so what I have done is, in a same file, I have written one class, and I have also written one more class. It is possible. Okay, we are going to discuss that next. For the time being, just see that it is possible. And now here, what is the class name? The class name is JVM test, and is it public? Yes. Okay, so the first thumb rule is what? If the class is public, then your file name and the class name must match. So you have to go back here and rename it to JVM test.java. Okay, you have to rename it to JVM test.java. Okay, let me know if that is fine. Is this fine? Okay, so let's try to understand that this is a JVM code. Okay, let's say this is a JVM code where we will have some method, not exactly main, but we will have some method, and from here we are going to call our test class main method. Okay, our test class main method. So what I'm doing is directly I'm using the class name, right? Directly I'm using the class name, and if you don't have this static, then if you don't have this static, then what will happen? Then you have to create the object of this test, and then you will be able to access it. Okay, save it. Just go here and say Java space JVM test. Okay, let me see what is my class name. Did I compile it? No. Java C test dot class dot Java. Okay, it has to be RGS. It has to be an array. This is Java C. Compile it. Test dot main one. It is saying incompatible type string cannot be converted to string array. This is in string array and this is in string array. ARGS, ARGS. That's fine. Oh, I'm sorry. So I have to modify this one. Yeah. So here you modify. Okay. Java JVM test. Okay. So I got the hello world output. So I'm just trying to explain you how similarly the JVM is actually written. So you can assume this as a JVM piece of code where you will not have definitely main method there, you'll have some other method, but I just need to show you that that's the reason I made it main. And assume this is your class. Okay, and assume this is your main method what you have written. Let's say this is not the main one method. Okay, and from here I'll be trying to call it. Now if you don't define this as static, Java C, okay, it is saying non-static, so at that time you have to create the object of test class here. Java C hello world. Okay, that's a good question. I have two classes and you have just been compiling this. What about this? Okay, so the first thing is these two classes are written inside only one file, right? these two classes are written inside a file called jvmtest.java. Okay, and when you compile the file actually. Right, when you compile, you are generally compiling the file. So when you compile this file, then what will happen? Automatically it will see that there are two classes, so two dot class file will get generated. One is test.class, another one is jvmtest.class. Okay, so let's check that out again. Java C, hello, sorry, test.jvmtest.java. Okay, this has given me two dot class file. One is test.class, another one is jvmtest.class. We'll come to that, Imran. Yes, otherwise JVM can't call it directly. Okay, so are you clear with this question number 5? Next, what is void in main method? Okay, so this main is actually a method or not? This main is actually a method. Okay, and as we know in Java, method may return value or method may not return value. Right, this holds good for C and C++ also. In C++ we call it function. Right, if you have written a function, then the function must have a return type or you have to declare it as void. Who calls this main method? JVM. Okay, now let's say here you have a method called add, which expects two numbers. Okay, and you will be doing some addition of it. You'll be doing some addition of it. After that, it is up to you whether you want to return that result to the end user or not. Correct? So I'll say public int. Now what I would be doing, I'll say return sum. So check this out. In a test class, I have a method called add. Okay, and this add method will return some value. So when you say test t equal to new test, t dot add. While calling add, you will be passing two arguments, 20, 30. Okay, 20 and 30, and it is returning you value or not? Yes. That means you can cache that value, int result. You can cache that value, and then you can print it, system.out.println result. So when you execute this program, you should get 50 on your screen. Okay, you should get 50 on your screen. Let's go and check that out. Java C JVM test.java, Java JVM test. Okay, we got 50 here. Again, if I change it to 70, now you should get 100 here. Again, compile. I got 100 here. Okay, now assume that this was your main method. Okay, who calls the main method? JVM. And JVM actually does not expects anything to be written from main. Okay, let's say the logic is like this. You print that sum internally here. Sum. Okay, now see, while calling this method, I am passing two elements 70 and 30. This 70 and 30 will come here. Okay, and we are adding it, and after adding I'm printing it. So if I'm printing it, do I need to really return the value? No, right? That's fine. If the main method is not going to use it anywhere, it's okay if you don't return the value. So what you will do generally, you'll declare it as void, and here you just say t dot add. Is not it? You just say t dot add. So what it will do, it will call the method called add. Okay, but is this add method going to return you something? No. That means whatever code you write inside, you do whatever you want with that. I am not really interested with your value. Okay, I don't want any feedback from you. You just work on your own. So that's the reason we have void in the main method. This main method is actually called by the JVM, and the JVM is not interested for any return type. 100 will show here because I have printed it here, right? This will create the object. This will create the object of this test class. Why do I need this? This test class contains some logic, add logic. Right? This test class contains add logic, and my objective is I want to call this add method. Okay, and is this add method static? No. Okay, have you declared here static? No. That means the add method cannot be accessible directly, so you have to create the object of test, and then you can access this add method. Yes, of course. You see here, this test class is there inside this. You see the curly braces? Okay, so here altogether you have two classes. This is class 1 and this is class 2. This add method is present inside test. Okay, now again, when you define one more sum method, let's say subtraction method. Again, this subtraction method is also within the test class. And if you want to call this, methods, then you need to create the object of test class. Okay, and these methods are what? Void. These methods are void. Okay, that means whenever you call these methods, this method is not going to return you any value. These methods are not going to return back any value. So if you want to print the result, you write here itself. Okay, do whatever you want here itself. Got my point? Okay, see Anuj, like all the methods whatever you write, they are capable of returning the value. Yes, if you want to return some value, you have to ignore void and you write the data type what it is going to return. For example, I have two numbers. Okay, when you subtract those two numbers, what could be the result? The result will be another number only, right? So do you really want to return this value to the caller? Tell me, who is going to call this subtraction method? Who is going to call this subtraction method? Not the JVM, it is your main method. See, the main method the JVM calls the main method, and the main method will create the object of test class. Okay, and it calls the add method as well as subtraction method. Now the subtraction method has a return type integer. Okay, that means after operation, after completing the subtraction, we are supposed to return some value. Return subtraction. So you can ignore this SOP here, or you can put it, no problem. Okay, but anyway, whenever you call subtraction method, it is going to return you something, right? So when it is going to return you something, you must catch it, you must hold that. Okay, and after holding it, you do whatever you want with this. I say system.out.println. Okay, now check it out. In the first scenario, okay, add method. The add method is not returning any value, right? No, it will not throw any error. It will not throw any error. So you can assume it something like this. You went to an ATM, okay, and uh, you tried to withdraw 10,000. Okay, that means you are calling some method, and that method gets executed, which contains the logic to count the money, and once the money is counted properly, that money will be returned back to you. Okay, what will happen if you don't hold the value? What will happen if you don't uh, hold the money after it returns? You simply lose that money, correct? Because when I say when you are not holding it, it will come and it will stay there as it is. Okay, now it is up to you. You want to take it or you don't want to take it. So similarly here also, if you don't take it, then you cannot hold the value. Okay, but it will not be any problem. Like, it is not compulsory that you should take it. But when the method is returning something to you, that means you should, okay, even though you can ignore it, but you should take it and you should do something with that. Make sense? Okay, again, let me make it static here. Okay, see the difference. The first method is not static, the second method is static. So if this method is static, can I call this add method directly? Okay, that means you can simply say test dot add of 70,30. This is not returning any value, that's fine. Okay, you can call it this way, And if the method is static, then still you will be able to call it through object also, no problem. Okay, however, you should not do that, because you are able to call it directly, right? So you're able to call it directly because the add method is static, and if the method is defined as static, you can directly call it by using test the class name dot method name. Okay, however, this subtraction method is not static, so will you be able to call it directly? No. That means you need to create the object of test class. Okay, so this entry is needed. This entry is needed because when you don't have any test class t object, okay, then you will not be able to call subtraction method. Are we clear? Okay, I think we have written a big program. Let's compile and execute this. So the class name is JVM test only. Okay, this is two numbers. I should say okay, compiled successfully, and then you just say Java space JVM test. See this, the first output is 100. Okay, the first output is printed here itself within the method, because this method is not capable of returning anything back. So whatever processing you would like to do, whatever things you want to print, you print it on the console. Oh my god, I did not record the session for today. Okay, no worries, I'll get the recording, no problem. Okay, next the second one is 40. This is the result of 50 and 10. When you call the subtraction method, okay, when you call the subtraction method, then this subtraction method will be used with two arguments, 50 and 10. So 50 and 10, when you minus it, it will become 40, and 40 I am not printing it here, right? 40 I am not printing it here, I am returning it to the caller. So who is calling this sub method? Main method. So 40 will be here. Okay, 40 will be here, and you'll get the result 40. Are we clear on this? So the whole point of explaining this example is do we need to have main method as static or not? Okay, so the main method must be declared static, otherwise the JVM needs an object of hello world to call this main method, okay, which is what we don't want. Okay, so every class, whatever you want to execute, must have a main method, so that JVM can call this main method directly, and this main method must be declared as static. Okay, and the next discussion was why void, right? Because whatever, see, the main method will be called by the JVM, and JVM is not really interested with the return value. Okay, so that's the reason we have void here. It states that it is not going to return any value back to JVM. JVM calls main method and main method is void, which means main is not going to return any value back to JVM. Okay, next, what is string args? Why it is an array? Okay, you see this string args we have, and this args is basically an array, correct? This args is basically an array. Okay, so the next question is, why we have this string args? So if I assume this program, okay, if I assume this program, can you tell me how do I execute this program after compiling? What is the command I need to write? What is the command we write to compile this, to execute this program? Java hello world, not .java, okay, just Java hello world. Okay, similarly, if I want to execute this program, then I'll be writing what? Java JVM test. Okay, and this JVM test is basically doing what? It is basically adding and subtracting two numbers. Is not it? It is basically adding and subtracting two numbers. Now see here, this is hard coded, right? Hard coded means directly we have written the value here. Okay, now when you execute your program, okay, you run your program for n number of times, infinite number of times, it will always give you output 140. Okay, and do you think this will work in the real time? This will help in the real time? I just want to add two numbers, but the two numbers can be anything, right? It can be given by the end user. It will be given by the end user. The two numbers could be anything. It could be 1 and 2, it could be 10 and 20, 40 and 50, whatever. Okay, so let's assume you have written some sort of calculator and the logics are written, the logic will be written in similar ways. Okay, and now if you sell the calculator to other folks, then what will happen? You know, every time when you say sum, it will always give you 100, which is what we don't want. Okay, which is what we don't want. That means there is a possibility, okay, there is a possibility to call the JVM test like this: Java space JVM test. Okay, and I'll pass two numbers here, 100 and 50. See, earlier I used to execute my program in this way. This time I am trying to execute my program in this way. Okay, so this is basically a command, java.exe. And what is this? The class name, right? And after that whatever extra you see, okay, whatever extra you see, we call it arguments to main method. Okay, we call it arguments to main method, and you can pass any number of arguments, no problem. Okay, so when you pass these two arguments, okay, so these two argument will be available here. So let me write it here itself. On comment java space jvm test. Okay, java is the command to execute, jvm test is the class name, and then I'll write 150. Okay, so when you run your program by using this syntax, so what will happen, this 150 will come and sit here. Okay, so this is an array, and I believe everybody understands array. Can I get yes from everyone? Okay, is there anyone who says no? Fine, so I'll take it as everybody understands. See, the array is basically something which can hold the data in a collection, in a group. Okay, now in this array I told that these two value will come and sit. What would be the size of array after this? 2. Now what I'll do is system.out.println, okay, args.length. In Java, if you want to check the size of an array, this is the way, args.length. Okay, this is the way, args.length. It will give you the size of the array. Save it. Now let me do like this. I'll compile the program. Compile. Let me execute this. Java space jvm test. Okay, what will be the size of the array this time? What will be the size of array this time? Initially 0. No, see, this is the command to run your Java program. This is the class name, but after that I'm not passing anything, right? Okay, so it will be 0. Now if I write here 1, then what is the size of the array? Okay, if I have 1, let's say I have 10, 20, 40, 100, 78. What will be the size of the array? 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? So in this array you'll get those values, and after that what you can do, you can get it and set it here. Okay, so I'm just trying to add two numbers and subtract two number. So what do you say, how many argument actually I should pass? Just 2, because I'm just trying to perform addition and subtraction of two numbers, and I just need two numbers. Okay, I just need two numbers. So my program, my code should be designed in such a way that it should expect only two arguments. Okay, now let's assume I'm going to execute my program in this way. So first element is 10 and the second element is 20, right? Now here what you do, you just write args of 0. This will give you access to first element. Array starts with 0. Okay, this will give access to second element. And what is the data type of this array? What kind of variable it is holding? You are passing integer. Okay, you are passing integer, but internally everything will be stored as a string. So when I say you are passing 10, then it will be stored as a string only, 10. When you say you are passing 20, it will be stored as string only. I can also pass here Suraj. Nobody will stop me. Okay, so you can pass here boolean also. Nobody will stop you. You can pass here float variable also, 5.5f. Okay, you can pass anything, but everything is treated and stored internally as string because the string data type can hold anything. Okay, the string data type can hold anything. That's the reason you can pass whatever you pass, that will be automatically converted into string and you will have it here. Okay, now I want to add two numbers. So in order to add two numbers, you need to convert this into into integer. Okay, you need to convert it into integer. So to convert it into integer, there is a technique called integer.parseInt. Okay, we'll also discuss this later. Slowly we'll discuss what exactly all these are, but for the time being, just try to understand that yes, if you have string, you want to convert it into integer, you need to write it in this way: integer.parseInt of str. You pass your string here, str int num1 int num2. Okay, so did you understand what I'm trying to do? On this args, I'm going to pass two numbers, but this is an array of string type, so everything gets represented as a string. So from here I'm trying to get access to the first element and second element. String starts with 0, so array args of 0 means 100, args of 1 means 50. So you'll get the string 1 value 100, string 2 value 50, but you cannot sum these two directly. Okay, if you try to do that, what will happen? The output will be 10050. The output will not be 150. If you try to plus 2 string, it will concatenate. Okay, if you just say sum plus str2, these two are string, then what will happen? It will concatenate. And I don't want that. I don't want output to be 10050. I want the output would be 150. So for that you need to convert it into integer. How to convert it into integer? Integer.parseInt of string. Whatever string you pass, that will be converted into number. However, if you pass your ABCD, okay, if you pass your ABCD, then what will happen? You will get ABCD here, you will get ABCD here, and integer.parseInt of ABCD will give you number format exception. No, it will not. Okay, it will give you the number format exception. Okay, so as per my logic, I am supposed to pass only numbers here. Okay, so you will get the number 1 here, you will get the number 2 here, and then you pass this number 1, you pass this number 2, you pass the same number 1, you pass the same number 2. Okay, now if you see this code, in this code we have not hard coded anything. In this code we have not hard coded anything, right? So whenever you execute your program, this program, now you have to pass arguments, and if you, whatever argument you pass, that values will be taken, and sum will take place, or subtraction will take place, and it will give you the output accordingly. Okay, let's see this. Java C JVM test.java compiled successfully. Java JVM test, I'll say 150. So the total number of arguments are 2. Okay, the sum is 150, the subtraction is 50. Similarly, next time you pass here any other value, 140, 60, and so on. And as I told you, if you pass here, let's say 1000A, okay, hit enter, you will get number format exception. Yes, see, when I'm making a calculator, I should take the value from the user only. Okay, now what will happen if you just call the class like this, Java space JVM test. Java space JVM test. Actually, I'm supposed to pass two arguments here, right? But I'm not passing it. So what will happen here? What will be the length? The length will be 0. The length will be 0, not null. The length will be 0. But when you say ARGS of 0, ARGS of 1, what are you trying to do is, you are trying to access an array. Yeah, you're trying to access an array. Okay, you're trying to access the element of an array which is not at all present. So it will give you array index out of bound exception. Array index out of bound exception. If you try to access element of an array by specifying the index which is greater than its size, you will get array index out of bound exception. I'm just passing the value from command line. I'm passing the value from here. right? We're just passing the value while executing the Java program itself. Okay, so this exception is also popularly called as AIOOB, error index out of bound. Okay, so I hope I have answered you this question. What is string args? Like the Java developer, the Sun Microsystem, they wanted to give a facility, okay, to the end user to pass the value like this while calling, while executing the program. That's the reason we have string args. Are we clear? Okay. Are we getting late or can we have some more time? Okay. Next, next, in this method, okay, whatever main method I have, what I'll do is I'll remove the array from here. Okay, I removed the array from here, and if you do that, then I need to comment this first because this will create us a problem otherwise. Okay, let me make sure first that it is working well. Okay, JVM test. Right, so the code is working good. Okay, again I have hard coded. I have started hard coding it because I want to show you something. Now what I'll do is I'll just remove this args array. Now this is no more array. So what will happen if you don't declare it as array? Okay, so let's see what happens. Okay, compiled successfully, no problem. Okay, so it is failing to execute. Okay, so the blind rule is the JVM will always look for public static void main string args only. Okay, if you don't define it as array, then it will not be identified as the main method. Okay, let me go back. I'll put it as an array. I'll change it to integer, and when I change it to integer, I must return some value. I'll just say return 0. What will happen this time? Other folks? Okay, so what it is saying is whenever you have a main method, okay, whenever you have a main method with this argument, then in it must return void. Okay, but what you did, you are trying to return integer, so it will again fail to execute. Okay, next, how many of you know method overloading? This one? Okay, what if string args array is not declared as an array? So what I mean to say is in the public static void main, this string, okay, should be of array type. It should be of this type. Okay, this is an array. And what will happen if you don't define it as an array? Okay, so when you don't define it as an array, again the same thing, compilation will be successful, but it will fail to execute. Fine. So see, method overloading means, okay, Method overloading means the same method with the name same, but the parameter would be different. For example, let's say I want to add two strings. Okay, this is to add two numbers. I want to design one more method, public. You can say static, no issues, and here you say add string x or s1 s2. Okay, so altogether in this test class, how many methods we have? Altogether in the test class, how many methods we have? We have three methods. Okay, the first method is add, the second method is also add, the third method is sub. What is the difference between these two methods? Yeah, the first method expects two integers, okay, and it will add the two numbers and it will display it. The second one will expect two string value, okay, adds both of this and prints that. Okay, now both the methods are defined as static, right? So let me tell you, when I say method overloading, okay, when I say method overloading, this parameter, okay, when I say method overloading, then you have to only see these things. Okay, you just need to see these things. Only you need to consider this to understand method overloading. Okay, you ignore all these things. We'll go in detail, okay, when we discuss overloading. So this is not the right time to talk everything in detail. Okay, now here I just have two methods, like three methods, but I have to add method. One expects two integers, another two strings. Okay, and since both the methods are static, I can directly go ahead and I can call test dot add. I'll pass two string now here, hello Java programmers. Fine. So when I call this add method, okay, on the test, when I call this add method, I have two add methods. Which add method will be called? Second one. Yeah, the second add method, because that expects two string. Okay, so here if you see, there is a method with the same name but with different arguments. We call this as method overloading. Okay, we call this as method overloading. Save it. I'll go here, Java C, compile, execute. See here, hello Java programmer got merged, right? Got concatenated, and this one is add method expecting two integers. Okay, now why am I discussing this? can I have here public static void main string arg. Okay, so do you see the difference between these two methods? Here I have placed main method, right? In this JVM test, how many main methods are present? Two. But is there any difference between these two? Yeah, one is array, another one is string. So can I say this is overloading? Okay, so this is method overloading because the name is same. The method name is same, only the difference is in the parameter. Okay, so what will happen if the main method is overloaded? Similarly, I'll write one more main method, public static void main intx inty. Can I write it like this? One more method. Okay, so in this JVM test, how many main method you have? We have three. Okay, yeah, you all are, you are correct that per class you should have only one main method, but of this type. Okay, you should have only one method, but of this type. This main method name is same, but there is a difference. Okay, the difference is in the parameter. The first main method accepts only one string. The second main method accepts two numbers. The third main method accepts string array. Okay, which one the JVM will look for out of these three? No, we will not have any ambiguity problem. See, the JVM will always look for a main method with this signature. We have already discussed. Okay, come whatever, the JVM will always look for main method with this signature. It must be public, it must be static, it must be void. Okay, it must accept string array. Yes, so what I want to tell you is, even though you write it, okay, compilation wise there is no problem, okay, but execution wise JVM will always look for this signature. Okay, and whatever you have written here, this will not be called at all. No worries. Okay, so uh, if I go to a party, okay, I may get a lot of people with name Vijay. I may get a lot of people with the name Vijay, but I am looking for that Vijay whom I know since 3 years, who is working with me. I don't care about other Vijays. Okay, that Vijay should have the similar face, that Vijay should have the same voice, that Vijay should make me laugh, that Vijay should share the things with me. I am looking for the same Vijay. I am not looking for any other Vijay. Are you trying to understand my story. So what I mean to say is, here if you see we have three main methods and these are method overloading. Okay, but no worries, the JVM will always look for this. Okay, and after that whatever you write story, everything will be ignored. Got my point, everyone? If you are confused, let me know. Anyone who is confused? Okay, no problem. Okay, let me just delete this. Okay, now this class JVM test, okay, it has only one main method, right? So there is no confusion till this point. Here I am trying to explain that even though you have multiple main method, okay, with different signature, okay, JVM will always call the main method with exactly this signature. Okay, and generally we don't do this. Generally we don't put too many main methods. Okay, but interview point of view, you know, like people ask the question, can we overload main method or not? That means in a single class, can I have multiple main method with different signature? Okay, and most of the folks answer it no, that there should be only one and only main method, and that goes wrong. Okay, you should say you can write 1000 main methods, no problem, but make sure that you always have this main method. Okay, and JVM will always call the main method which follows the signature public static void main string args of array. That is not allowed. Okay, you cannot, inside a class you cannot have, inside the class you cannot have two methods with the same name as well as with the same signature, right? And if you write like this, then while calling it will be confused, right? Which one to call? Shall I call this or shall I call this? Because the internal logic may be different. Okay, so what I'm trying to make you understand is, don't think main method as a very super powerful method. Okay, main method is as usual as your normal method. Okay, JVM calls it, that is the only specialty about the main. Otherwise the main method is similar to your sub method, is similar to your any other methods. Okay, and the main method can be overloaded. Okay, let me do one thing. Let me execute Java C, compiled successfully. Okay, so see here, you pass argument, I'm not using it, no worries. Okay, but it will always call this main method. It will always call this main method which is present in line number 33. Okay, so you go here. I said a blind rule. JVM just wants public static void main string args of array. Yeah, they are a waste. They are a waste. Now if you want to call it, okay, if you want to use them, then you need to call it explicitly from here. See what I'll do, JVM will call this main method, right? So from this main method, what I'll do is I'll call this main method. So both these main methods are static, right, and they are present inside the class. So can I write something like this, main 6,7 main Suraj passing some argument. Can I do it like this if you want to make use of this main also? Okay, see, basically, I have never written a code in my life. Okay, I have never written a code in my life where we will have two main methods, but I'm just explaining you this from interview point of view. Okay, and you should not get confused here, because although I have three main methods, but they are different as per the signature. Okay, and I said JVM will always call this main method. JVM is not going to call any other main method. Now, if you feel that it is a waste, if you want to use it, what do? You call this main method. See, I'm calling a main method by passing two parameters. This expects string array. This expects two integers. So when I call main of 6 and 7, it will call this method and it will print hello folks. Okay, and whatever value 6 and 7 you pass, you will get it here. It is up to you whether you want to use, whether you don't want to use it. Okay, or you can just say x plus y. Here you say if you want to print that also. Okay, let's see the output now. I should say Java C compiled. Okay, now see here Java JVM test. Okay, I'm trying to execute my program. So in the JVM test, how many main methods are there? Everybody please try to communicate. How many main methods are there in JVM test? Okay, whoever feels they are getting confused, please try to communicate. How many main methods are there in this JVM test? Okay, now out of these three main method, main 1, main 2, main 3, I'll call this as main 1, I'll call this as main 2, I'll call this as main 3. Okay, out of these three main, which main has got the perfect signature? Line number 33. Okay, and this is as per the JVM. Okay, so the JVM will call this main method. Are we clear till now? So the JVM will call this main method. Okay, now the other two main methods will never be called by the JVM. Okay, the other two methods will never be called by the JVM. However, if you want to call it, then it is the responsibility of the programmer to call those two main methods. Okay, what you do? This is static method, this static method. Both are present on the same class. Directly you can call. If it would have been present in some other class, then class name dot main. And this main is method overloading. Can we overload main method? So this is actually the discussion. This is actually the point of discussion. Can we overload main method? Meaning, can I write main method many times by just changing the number of parameters, the type of parameter, which is what we have done. Correct? Public static void main. I'll write it like this. How many of you feel you are still confused? Please let me know right now. Because that will help me. Other folks, can I get no from everyone? Public static void main. I wrote it on shortcut. Okay. PSVM, public static void main. Fine. So the bottom line here is main method can be overloaded, and this is what you may get a question in the interview. Did anyone get this question in interview? Okay, so that's why I discussed this. Okay, but believe me, yeah. Okay, you are asking. Okay, fine. So believe me, like in my whole uh, experience, I have never used main method 2 times, and nobody uses that. Okay, it is just to check the confidence within the developers or the programmers. Okay, we just want to understand how well he understands a main method. So few people what feel, like the main method is like a god method. Okay, it is a special method. No, it is not a special method. It is a very simple method. Okay, it is a normal method like any other methods. The only difference is that main method is being called by the JVM. Otherwise there is no difference. Okay, main method cannot be overridden because it is static, and static things cannot be overridden. Okay, what is method overriding? That is the future topic. We'll not discuss anything now. What else can we explore on this? Fine then, that's all for today, folks.